You know that feeling of just slowing down as we get older? The energy isn't quite there. The thinking feels a little foggy. Well, what if a huge part of it all comes down to just one single thing? Today, we're going to dive into a popular theory that points to one vital molecule as the key reason we feel the effects of aging. And it all starts with this question. Are you running low on cellular fuel? It's a really powerful way to think about it, isn't it? It frames aging not just as something that happens over time, but as an energy supply problem happening inside our very own cells. And it turns out a whole lot of new research is linking that feeling of getting older to the decline of one specific, absolutely crucial molecule. A molecule that basically powers everything your body does. And that molecule? It's called nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, or much easier, just NAD. The best way to think about it is like this. If your cells have these tiny little engines in them called mitochondria, then NAD is the high-octane fuel they need to run. Simple as that. Without enough of it, those engines start to sputter. Listen, this isn't some minor detail. This is a direct quote from the Mayo Clinic. Life as we know it cannot exist without NAD. I mean, that's not a small claim. They're basically saying this one molecule is at the very foundation of our entire biology. And if that wasn't enough, get this. Dr. David Sinclair, a top genetics professor over at Harvard, puts it even more dramatically. He says that without this molecule, we'd be dead in less than 30 seconds. So the bottom line is pretty clear. NAD isn't just important, it's absolutely, fundamentally essential for life. Okay, so if this stuff is so critical, we've got a problem, a big one, because as we get older, our supply of it starts to tank. The big question is, why? And this is where that great analogy of a leaky engine really comes into play. You see, researchers started digging, and they think they've found the main culprit, a rogue enzyme called CD38. And unfortunately for us, its main job seems to be destroying our precious supply of NAD. And the drop-off is, well, it's just staggering. According to the research, by the time you're 40, your NAD levels can drop by 50%. Half! And by age 60, you might only have 20% of the cellular fuel you had when you were young. That is a massive energy crisis happening right inside your body. And this isn't just some number on a chart, right? This is stuff you feel. The theory connects this loss of cellular fuel directly to all those familiar signs of aging, that persistent low energy, those kind of embarrassing memory slips, that sluggish brain fog. And even physical stuff like sagging and wrinkling skin. It all starts to clip when you picture your cells just running on empty. So if the problem is a leaky, fuel-starved engine, what in the world do you do about it? Well, researchers have come up with what they call a cellular refueling technique, and it's designed to tackle this problem head-on. And it's not as simple as just, pouring more fuel in. The approach is actually way more sophisticated. It's a three-pronged strategy that's designed to not only replenish your NAD, but also to fix the underlying reasons it's disappearing in the first place. It really boils down to these three steps, keeping with our engine analogy. First, you've got to refuel the engines. Makes sense. Second, you have to patch the leak that's causing all that fuel loss. And third, you need to clean the engine so they can run as efficiently as possible. Okay, so let's break this down. How does each of these steps actually work? Well, the technique uses a very specific ingredient for each part of the problem. For step one, the refueling part, the key ingredient is a nutrient called nicotinamide riboside, or NR. Now here's the tricky part. You can't just take NAD directly. The molecule is just too big to get inside your cells. But NR is what's known as a precursor. Think of it like a key that's small enough to get through the door. Once it's inside, your cell just turns it right into NAD, filling that tank from the inside out. And there's some really compelling data here. A clinical trial mentioned in the source material found that taking NR raised NAD levels by over 50% in just 8 weeks. I mean, think about that. That could essentially return your cellular fuel supply to levels you haven't seen in decades. But here's the thing, and this is absolutely crucial. Just adding more fuel isn't the whole story. This slide shows it perfectly. Taking NR all by itself is like pouring gas into a car that has a leaky fuel tank. Sure, you're adding more fuel, but you haven't actually fixed the reason you're losing it. And that's exactly why the second step is so important. So, how do you patch the leak? This is where part 2 comes in. The proposed solution uses something called Apigenin. This compound is described as a powerful inhibitor of that rogue CD38 enzyme we were talking about.
By slowing CD38 down, it directly patches that cellular fuel leak, helping you hold on to all that new NAD you're making.
And finally, step 3, cleaning the engine. For this job, the formula uses a compound called L-Glutathione. If NAD is the fuel, you can think of glutathione as the engine cleaner, making sure the mitochondria can actually use that fuel efficiently.
See, L-glutathione's main role is to support your mitochondria by clearing out all the gunk, the toxic byproducts and waste that build up and slow things down. And here's the double whammy. Our natural levels of L-glutathione also go down as we age, which makes this part of the maintenance strategy just as important as the others. So all of this leads to this really fascinating and kind of provocative idea. What if tackling aging isn't really about some magic bullet or miracle cure, but it's just about smart, sophisticated cellular maintenance? A routine process of refueling, patching, and cleaning our internal engines. It completely reframes how we think about getting older, shifting the focus away from this idea of inevitable decline and toward one of proactive maintenance of our most fundamental biology. Pretty amazing stuff to think about.